In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the Add to Cart widget, and the Add to Cart widget comes with the Ecwid Premium widgets. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to change the text. So first, you'll want to make sure that the widget is selected, and then you're going to come over here to the text tool and have that open. And then the text align options will allow you to align the contents of the widget in whatever way that you want. So if you want to center align it or right align it, that's how you do it. Then this is also how you change the default font size, and it's how you change the default line height. It's also how you change the font type, and how you change the default font color. That was hardly noticeable, so I will change it to a different default color. So there you go. So that's how you customize most of the text and the alignment of the contents of the widget. Inside the widget, the first section is Ecwid info. And this is where you're going to put your store ID, your product ID, and your store URL. And if you need help finding the product ID or store URL, you can click on either of these and it will take you to a YouTube video explaining how to do that. Next is cart. And the cart section will control if and where you want the cart to appear. So by default, it just doesn't adjust the settings of the cart. However, if you want to adjust the settings of the cart, you have the option to not show the default cart, place it in the top left, top right, or bottom left corner of the page. Next is layout. So the first option in layout is spacing, and the spacing adjusts how much space is in between each section of the widget. So I'll adjust that so you can see what it looks like. So as you can see, it added more space between these sections. The next section is the dimensions, and in the dimensions, first you have the input and drop down height. So this will adjust the height of any inputs or drop downs. Next you have the dimensions for the normal button. By default it forces to 100% width, so 100% width is the width of the widget. And if you toggle that off, then you're able to specify a width for the button. Then you're also able to adjust the height of the normal button. And then lastly, you have the dimensions for a small button. And a small button isn't used with this specific product, but basically if you see any smaller button, then this dimension section is going to adjust the width and height of that small button. The next section you have is removables. And this will allow you to add or remove all the options that come with the widget. So by default, it removes the image, but if you toggle that back off, it will add it back in. Then you can remove the title, remove the price, which is currently inside the button, remove options, and remove the quantity. And then with checkboxes, it shows a price modifier next to each checkbox option, and this will allow you to remove the price next to the checkbox option. Then the next section is fonts. So first you have the button, and this will adjust the font size for the button. Then you have, again, the font size for the small button, but I can't show you an example of that right now. Then for the title, you're able to change the font color and the font size. Then for the price, this will only adjust the price if you do not have it as part of the button, and that option is down here inside the button. So I'm going to open that up and then toggle that feature off. So now it's added the price back to the main part of the widget. And then you're able to adjust the size of the price font and the color of the price. And the last section is notes, and notes don't appear very often. The text that's categorized as notes is basically anything that is a pointer or a hint, or the text that tells you that you've made an error or that you need to select an option. So I'll show you that real quick. So this would be the text that is categorized as a note. Now I'm going to switch the fonts back to their original settings. The next section that you have is input and dropdown. So first you're able to change the text and background color for inputs and dropdowns. So as you can see, the input and dropdown text and background color both changed. Then right here you're able to add a border. If you toggle that off, then you can just completely remove the border. And I'm not sure what it's adding right here, but that doesn't appear when you preview the site in the browser. So if you add a border, you have the options to set it as a solid style or an inset style. Then the width, you're able to adjust the top, right, bottom, and left width at the same time if you leave this toggled on, but if you toggle it off, then you're able to adjust specific border widths. So for example, if you left these all at 0 and then put the bottom border width at 2, you could then have a bottom border width that looks like this. And then lastly, you're able to adjust the border color. You can either adjust it in every state or you can adjust it in individual states. So right now it's set to be white, which is the background color of the input or dropdown. Then on hover, it's supposed to go to a sort of grayish white. Then the color for the active state is set to go blue. So I'll show you real quick what that looks like. And then the last section is button, and I'm not going to cover that in this video because I cover it in the quick button tutorial, so I will put a link in the description for the quick button, and there should be a little icon that appears in the top right corner that you can click on to take you to that tutorial. So that is how the Add to Cart main widget works.